Merry Christmas to anyone who's celebrating it, and I hope that you're all having a really wonderful Yule period. I hope you had a great solstice if you celebrated it, and I hope you'll have a great new year, and if you're celebrating Hanukkah or anything else that happens over this period, I hope you're having a really wonderful time. At the beginning of 2019, I made two decisions. I decided that I was going to do yoga every single day and that I was going to meditate every single day. So I was giving myself a little bit of leeway with the yoga. I wanted to do it 365 times in this year, but I was allowing myself to take days off and to double up in order to kind of make back those days. Meditation though was supposed to be absolutely every single day without fail, a minimum of 5 minutes, preferably a minimum of 10 or 15. And I just wanted to make sure that I fit in that time during the day, no matter what. So in that year, I would say that I both failed with both of my aims, but also I think with what I was aiming to achieve, I was largely successful, and I think that doing this has actually really given me a much stronger understanding of my own ability to make decisions and follow through with them about my own life, and to not back down on things that I've decided are important in my life, and it's given me a much kind of greater sense of control and agency in my own life. So with meditation, I believe I missed 2 days. I missed one day that I already talked about on the channel. And in hindsight, I have no idea why. So I missed it because I was at a party and I realized that I hadn't meditated and it was 3 or 4 in the morning. And in my mind, the day was over because it was after midnight, which in hindsight makes absolutely no sense. Like, I genuinely don't understand why I didn't just go home and meditate for 5 minutes before I went to bed. And there were many other times that happened. And, you know, the first time that I actually even realized that, I had come home from another night out and it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I thought, oh no, I didn't meditate. And I thought, well, I'll just do it now. That's fine, right? So yeah, I really don't understand why I had that weirdly strict notion in my mind of what constituted the day, because really the day is just before I go to bed. So I missed that one day, and then I missed, I think it was the day, not the day of my best friend's wedding, but the day after her wedding. The day of the wedding, I was very organized. I woke up in the morning and meditated before I, got up and went out to go and get our hair done. The day after was just an unexpectedly hectic day that saw me be home for about half an hour at one point, and I was exhausted and had about 4 hours sleep in the 2 days and that kind of thing. So yeah, that just completely slipped my mind, and when I realized, I think it was really only a few days later that I even realized that I'd missed it, and I just went, life happens. And if there was one day that I was going to completely and utterly just forget and just not meditate in the entire year, it was definitely going to be around her wedding. I was the maid of honor, and it was a wild 2 days. It was wonderful. It was perfect, but it was wild. So that was how I succeeded with meditation. And even though that video that I made about the first time that I slipped up and forgot, I called it I failed. Even though I made that video saying that I failed, I think ultimately with the meditation, I definitely succeeded, probably beyond my real life expectations. I kind of quietly knew that I could do it, and that there was nothing stopping me from making this decision to do something so small with my day every single day, 5 minutes a day. But I think on some level I kind of wondered, will I actually keep it up? It's a very, very small achievement because, like I say, it only takes such a small amount of time out of my day. But as I say, I think it's just given me greater respect for myself and my ability to follow up on my intentions. The yoga was like maybe less of a perfect streak than I had hoped it would be. I think the fact that I was allowing myself days off was a good idea, but it meant that ultimately, I think for the first 3 or 4 months, I actually kept it up. Like, I actually would do yoga twice in one day if I had missed a day. I had originally intended on doing much more yoga than I actually did this year. So my intention was to do 10 minutes in the morning and then a couple of days a week to do a much longer yoga routine, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, and to kind of really get myself back into yoga. Interestingly, I found that strategy really didn't work for me, and I think maybe strangely enough, partly because I had this rule that I have to do it every day, and I found that if I had ticked it off, as something that I had already done in the morning. If I'd already done my 10 minutes of yoga in the morning, in my head I would think, oh, well, I don't have to do yoga again because I've already ticked that off in my head. And I think I've actually done more yoga. I've spent more time doing yoga in other years in my past when I didn't have a rule that I had to do it every single day. So I don't think I'm necessarily going to stop trying to do it every day, because I have found doing those 10 minutes in the morning to be really, really beneficial. It really wakes me up. It really connects me to my body first thing in the morning. It helps me stretch out my muscles. I hold a whole lot of tension in my back, and stretching all that out first thing in the morning, it just really sets me up for the day, and it really helps me kind of calm myself and center myself, and it really sets me up well for meditation as well. So I'm not going to stop, but at the same time, I think I do need to kind of reassess my priorities. So yeah, I think that really takes me into my first main point and my first main takeaway from doing this, from setting up this project of trying to do meditation and yoga, 365 days a year. I did pretty well on the yoga, I will say. I think I well surpassed 300 days. But yeah, I think the main thing that I've learned is that I'm good at upholding my own rules, largely speaking. Like, if I set a hard and fast rule, generally speaking, I'm good at maintaining it. I have gone off alcohol in the past and been very clear with myself when I decided to go back on it. There was never this sort of, I was never sort of bartering with myself and making a decision in the moment that I was going to break that decision or anything. I did go back on alcohol each time that I went off it, but I was very clear on my reasons for doing so. So I have in the past done those kinds of things. I am good at making rules, and if it's a rule that I've made and I know why I've made it, I am good at sticking with it, especially when it's a certain period of time. That being said, I think it is easy for me to lose sight of what the idea and what the point of making that rule was in the first place. This was very much the case with the yoga and with the meditation. As I said, with the yoga, I was partly doing it so that I would have those 10 minutes in the morning of stretching my body, of kind of getting attuned with myself, of having that calm, of moving my body slightly in the morning to wake myself up before, going out for a run or a walk or going about my day. That was like a primary reason. I wanted to just feel better. I wanted to feel more awake in the morning. So that was kind of the primary reason. But in the background, I did want to get back to a place that I was many, many years ago, when I did about half hour or 40 minutes of yoga almost every single day. And I think if I really seriously wanted to do that, I would have needed to be clearer in my mind about how I was going to incorporate that into my life, and not assume that just because I was doing 10 minutes of yoga every day, I would magically start doing, finding more space for it in the rest of my life. And like I say, it actually turned out to be the opposite. I think because in my head I was ticking it off as something that I'd already done in the day. Doing it again just seemed very unappealing and unnecessary, because I say in my head I'd already kind of ticked that off. So I wouldn't say that I made any massive progress with yoga in terms of my flexibility, in terms of my strength, or anything like that. But it did definitely help me in my objectives to feel more awake in the morning, because I struggle a lot with mornings. I enjoy waking up early in the morning, but I often feel really, really awful in the morning when I first get out of bed. And yoga being the first thing that I do, it helps me get out of bed more easily in the morning, because I know that I'm easing into my day, and also that really did actually help to wake my body up and make me feel better. With the meditation, I found it to be kind of a similar issue. I would say there have been times in my life where I have been in a deeper kind of meditative time in my life, like that I have been spending longer periods of time meditating and been able to get into deeper meditative states. But I will say that I don't think any of those periods have ever lasted anything close to a year. I think I've gone through phases of like 2 or 3 months at a time where I'm meditating for 20, 30, 40 minutes a day, and getting really deep into it and really flexing those muscles, those kind of mind muscles. But I've never managed to maintain that over a long period of time, and eventually I would fall off the wagon and find myself sort of sitting at the altar for 5 minutes without really feeling like I'm doing anything, that I'm kind of meditating without really doing anything, or even just not doing anything at all, really just not doing any meditation whatsoever at all. It got to a point when I was in Edinburgh that I was The closest I was coming to doing a daily meditation or a daily spiritual practice was barely sitting down at the altar for 5 minutes, maybe 4 days a week. So for me, the meditation kind of came hand in hand with spending time with the altar as well. And that's another thing I'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, in terms of like it, again, I think I had this idea that it might turn me into this amazing meditator, that I would, reach new heights and new depths of meditation if I was doing it every single day. And that turned out to not really be true. I would say that I achieved some of the aims that I had. I think meditating every single day. Now, I would say that my average was something about 10 minutes. I'd say I pretty much averaged 10 minutes a day, maybe slightly more. For the first half of the year, I was pretty much doing 15 minutes every day, sometimes 20, sometimes 10. The latter half of the year, I definitely slipped into doing more like 10 at best. A lot of the time it was more like 5. And part of that was because I was moving back to Ireland. I was really, really, really busy. I've been very busy with chapter deadlines as well. I've just had a lot going on. I've been trying to like fit a lot of stuff around, trying to fit the meditation around a lot of different stuff in my life, I think is what I'm trying to say. So maybe if I'd been able to continue that slightly longer meditation, because I do feel like 10 minutes is kind of the minimum that you need a day to really feel a difference, if I'm completely honest, and 15 minutes preferably. But I will say that I think I have reached a point again that I remember having back at times when I used to meditate more and for longer, where I definitely can slip into a deeper meditative state more quickly. I can become kind of more still and calm and aware and present in my surroundings much more easily during the day. I would say that I probably do have slightly better focus when it comes to working and so on, and that I just, generally speaking, it's hard to know with any of these things like how much one element of your year has really shaped who you've become as a person, but I would say that 2019 really did change me. I actually feel like these 12 months have changed me more than any other 12 months in a long time. The last 2 years really have been huge for me, that they've been really transformative, often quite difficult. But I think really in particular these 12 months I have finally come into my own in terms of especially I think in terms of my relationships with other people and my behaviour with other people, and that kind of thing, like my outward facing persona and how I react to how people treat me and relationships in my life and so on. I definitely feel like I have reached a point where I know what I am expecting of people, I know what I deserve, and I'm much clearer in my own mind about my own values and how I want to be behaving towards other people. And I think I've gotten better at being able to kind of walk the walk and to be able to act from a place of kind of contemplation and making decisions intellectually rather than purely from a gut or emotional level, purely just like reacting from a gut or emotional level. I can't say how much of that has come from doing meditation every day, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's had some sort of impact on me and on my self-awareness and my awareness of my life and everyone around me. I definitely think that giving myself that time every single day and getting into the habit of at least attempting to kind of quieten the mind and attempting to just be present and just in the moment every single day, that really actually does heighten my ability to kind of be self-reflective and to be just, more aware and more conscious of the way that I'm moving through the world. And I think it's given me more patience and more just a deeper understanding of myself and other people around me and so on. But again, I definitely struggled with making more space in my life for spiritual practice and for further meditation and so on. Again, I think I had this naive idea that if I was doing meditation every day, that it would magically turn me into a person who would want to do it even more. Like even if I had it just as part of my morning routine, that would magically turn me into somebody who would in the evening go, hey, you know what? I might just meditate for 30 minutes. Yeah, spoiler alert, that didn't work. That didn't happen. So I am going to continue this into 2020. I am going to aim again to do both of these things every single day. I'm going to aim to do yoga, like maybe I'll try and hit like a 350 day kind of aim with yoga. And if I don't hit the 350, like that's perfectly fine. And I'm definitely going to aim to do meditation every single day again. I did hit over 365 meditations in the entire year, because I did actually meditate more than once on several different occasions, again, mostly in the first half of the year. So I am going to keep that up. I'm going to keep that up as my morning routine. I will say a few things. Well, first of all, it never absolutely had to be first thing in the morning that I did these things. It was always free for it to be whenever I found the time. But I definitely found that I felt the best when I got it done in the morning. I think I just always feel good about myself if I've ticked off a few things first thing in the morning that I know I want to do with myself. But that being said, I think that has led to me not spending much time at the altar in the evenings. And in 2020, I do really actually want to spend more time at the altar not meditating. I want to spend more time that I just call altar time, just free-flowing altar time when I can do whatever it is that I want to do. And I think trying to make a rule of that, especially if I want to do this in the evenings, is not necessarily going to work. I've failed in the past to incorporate an evening routine into my life, but I am wondering if I might actually try that again. I'm considering going into 2020 and adding a third objective onto my everyday, which will be altar time. And again, having a minimum of 5 minutes, like 5 minutes, anyone can do 5 minutes, and just see if I can kind of build from there, or at the very least see what I can get out of that. And I want it to be free-flowing. I want it to be kind of, I can do whatever it is that I feel like doing in those 5 minutes, and it can literally just be 5 minutes of sitting, lighting some candles and just looking at the altar and just contemplating the altar. I think that would be plenty. But I just want to start trying to build these habits, and my hope is that, once I settle into my life and my routine better here in Ireland, that these habits, routines that I have will get stronger, and that I'll actually have more time to put into them. So yeah, going into this year, I do want to see if I keep kind of setting up these little habits that I have to do for 5 minutes every single day, that are, just a rule for me. Just see if that will work for me. See if I can get a little bit less rigid about it, and maybe give myself permission to not do it if I really, really, really don't want to, and then maybe see if that will actually encourage me to spend more time doing it at the times when I actually do want to. As you'll know from other videos, I do struggle a lot with ordering my life, with organizing my life, and with being consistent, with having routines. I feel on a very deep level that they do benefit me, that routines really do benefit me, and that I do best when I am living an ordered, routined life to some extent, but I always end up pushing back against it. I always end up falling off the wagon, and I'm hoping that actually maybe incorporating these very small routines into my day, these really manageable chunks of routine into my day, that it might train me to realize that, no matter how chaotic, and even if I have kind of fallen off the wagon or whatever, it doesn't really matter if it goes wrong for a few days or even a few weeks. It can be very easy to just get back on, like to just sort of pick up the pieces and keep going. And it doesn't have to mean that the whole thing is ruined and that there's no point in continuing. I think I just really need to start learning that having a routine, ordered life, it doesn't have to be perfect. But as long as I keep making an effort to do these things, incorporate these things into my life that I know benefit me, if I really learn how they benefit me and can see the results, and also train myself to believe that I can do it, that I'm hoping that will actually help me to incorporate, gradually more routine into my life, and to just be a bit more consistent in general. But also, of course, I'm hoping that over time this will help me to prioritize my spirituality a bit more. I think meditating has helped me to be in more of a consistent spiritual mindset. I will say that I don't feel like I've had a very spiritual year, weirdly, even though I've spent you know, a fair amount of time meditating and been very consistent with it. I think because meditation for me, the reasons for it feel more self-help oriented than a kind of religion oriented, if you see what I mean. So that's kind of why I'm wanting to incorporate altar time into my objectives for 2020, because I think that feels a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more spiritually creative, and I think might help me kind of fulfill that area of my life a little bit better than just doing meditation has. And yeah, over time, I think if that goes well, you know, over this year I might start adding in other things, like maybe even 5 minutes of creative time where I have to, you know, write or paint or do something every single day for 5 minutes. I've tried in the past to incorporate doing those kind of things in for like an hour a week, and I just find that in my head that works better for me and it feels more free and you get more done in that time. But I'm starting to wonder if I need to experiment with doing things like that, with starting to build things like that into my life on a daily basis, rather than just letting it be something that I throw myself into wholeheartedly for a month or two at any one time, which is also fine. And I live a kind of lifestyle where I can do that and I have the freedom to do that, and that's great. But I can kind of mark out July, for example, and say I'm just going to work on my novel. But I think there is a lot to be said for picking certain things that you do every single day, because I think part of what I'm aiming to do is to really get it into my head that these are the things that I prioritize. So yeah, let me know if you are also planning on doing this kind of thing, if you are considering or have decided to, you know, I suppose that you could call it a New Year's resolution. I don't like that term, so I don't tend to use it. I think it makes the rebel in me just kind of rise up. But yeah, do you have any plans for doing anything every single day or every single week, incorporating something into your everyday life? Do let me know down below. And if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about in this video, do again let me know down below. And if there's anything that requires a video kind of response, I will do that. And yeah, next time I'll be talking to you, it will be 2020, which is exciting. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to just have this fresh start. I think now that I'm back in Ireland and I'm just, I don't know, coming towards the end, I can see the end of the PhD. I'm kind of settling into this new life, and I think having this new decade at the beginning of all of this is a really exciting thing for me. It just feels very well timed. So I hope that you're all excited for it too. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're having, as I said, a really wonderful Yule period, and yeah, I'll talk to you again next week.